Welcome to the COAA podcast, devoted to the idea that a team of people led by a good owner, sharing best practices in a culture built on trust and respect, will complete better projects. I'm Howie Ferguson. I'm the executive director of COAA, the Construction Owners Association of America. And today we're thrilled to be finally talking with Kyle Majchrowski with Banner Health and Ripple Intent, a longtime member, volunteer, leader, and other talents. Before we get into talking to Kyle, let my co-pilot introduce herself.
Yeah, so this is Lucy Castor. I am the manager of operations and administration here at COAA and also the captain of LAG.
We're dealing in and overcoming some technology issues today, folks. So that you folks listening and Kyle, bear with us. Kyle, great to have you back, my man. We've already beat this horse to death, but we actually love this so much we had to record it a second time. So here we are again. I do remember teeing up the first question last time, and it was too much. So let's break this down into two pieces just to get started. If you would, tell us, setting aside Ripple, writing books, all that, but just your day job, the brief story of your journey and how you got to Banner and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Howie. Thanks, Lucy. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Glad to be back, and glad for all the listeners to hear it for the first time. So that's kind of a unique situation. So I've been on the owner's side for, gosh, it's almost 20 years now. I started on a private development side, also referred to as the evil development side, and so I learned all the complicated and difficult and ways not to be a good owner. And we were pretty successful at it, which was unfortunate until, of course, the crash. And then transitioned into owner on the academic medical center side. So I went to work for an AMC and led the teams that did healthcare, academic, research projects. So I was in charge of that capital program. And then just about 10 years ago, I relocated to where I am now, which is in Colorado. And I oversee 12 hospital campuses worth of capital work that span from Nebraska to California, and I also oversee facilities operations at 8 of those campuses. So that's where I am today. And of course, all the outbuildings, outpatient services, inpatient. I get that question from time to time. So yes, everything related to healthcare falls underneath my team's purview.
That's a pretty remarkably succinct summary of that 20-year journey. Well done.
Right. So let's get like he's done it before.
Yeah. I think he may have said that once or twice. So, all right, Kyle, that's not interesting, because really that all led you to sort of have a platform to do this other really exciting stuff. If folks don't know, and most listening probably do know what Ripple Intent is, but tell us and them about how that started, what it is, and how it's going lately with Ripple Intent.
It's funny. I was traveling last week, and I was somehow got in a conversation about COAA and when I got involved, and it came up. I remember succinctly, Lucy, you in Las Vegas, giving me a hard time at the end of the second day to turn in my paper evaluation form at the Caesars. When we were there, that was like my first COAA experience, and it was, you got to do this. And then, I don't know, 3 weeks later, a gift card shows up at work, and it said, "Congratulations, you were selected in the drawing to win the door prize of turning in your evaluation." And I remember getting that and going, I need to volunteer with this group. We got to reach out to this person and see what's going on. And here we are, so many years later. And so your influence goes that far back and has started and continues this journey. Yeah. And so
I harass with lots of love. So that's kind of what I do.
It was almost I need to do this. There's no question here. I'm turning this in. I'm filling this out and turning it in now. But it was fantastic, and it was one of those times, I think, when I realized that Howie just wasn't, you weren't just doing the marketing thing of, oh, we read these and we take the feedback seriously and weave it into our conferences. It was like, no, you actually do. That's awesome. So anyway, it was a cool memory. And for those of you listening, shameless plug, if you're looking for somewhere to spend some time, volunteer, help out, and be a part of something pretty impressive, get involved with COAA. Ripple
And
intent.
we may or may not send you a gift card.
I mean, I was going to say that $200 has stretched a very long time. $200 really well spent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, you guys made it easy, which was even more fun. All right, Ripple Intent. So it's a nonprofit organization started back in, officially started in 2017. Was kicking it around since 2011, doing different things, different events, and then became very formal in 2017. So currently, what it is, it's a nonprofit organization that allows people in the AEC industry and beyond to get together on a monthly or every other month basis for an hour and a half conversation around a specific topic to practice our soft skills, practice our human skills, practice just being people, building connection and building relationships.
Again, remarkably succinct because there's so much to unpack in that, but it's fantastic, Kyle. And there's so much overlap, I think, the Venn diagrams, if you will, between Ripple Intent and COAA. There's lots of things in common, some cool things that are different too, but I think that's part of why anyway, that's it. It's almost like watching our little babies growing up. Not that you're a little dude, but like we, the COAA family, are just very proud of what Ripple has become and what it stands for and what it's doing. So kudos, congrats, man. We're very proud.
Appreciate it. And COAA is what, over 20, where are you at, 26 years now?
We just turned 30 last year.
30
31
years. Jeez. 31. That's amazing, isn't it? You've been involved since what? 1, 2?
I was first involved as a presenter in the year 2000. So I've been around 2/3 of it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Kind of crazy.
Well, you are COAA, man. I will tell you that. You live, breathe, you bleed it. It's awesome. And everyone knows it. Everyone feels it. So kudos to what you do.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I did cut myself the other day, and blue, orange, and green came out. At least part of that was my Gators. The other part was COAA. Kyle, tell us about, and hopefully we're going to hear all about it in person. Tell us about the journey to, I know a little bit, but I don't remember all the details. You wrote a book, and now you're about to release a second book, and there could even be a third. Tell us about that, and more so than just the content of the books plural, but the gumption, the audacity to actually do it. After I know people were like, "Come on, do it," and what led you to jump off that cliff and actually do it?
Yeah, that's a no, that's a much longer story, and I am not nearly as succinct to answer this question, so I can tell you that. Yeah, so I wrote a book called Powerful Conversations, and currently first draft of the next one is done, and we're in the editing, soon to be in the production and building phase, which if anyone's ever written a book, the process is not unlike any type of capital project. You have to go through all the different steps and the stages, and the team gets bigger as time goes on, and it is quite a journey. So let's see. So I wrote it in the first place because I found a number of people who were looking for some sort of guide or instructions or stories, something to help people understand and grasp a framework that allows them to move past transactional and superficial conversations into actual meaningful connection. Along the way, being able to do some self-discovery and some learning together. So you actually build strong relationships. And so I dabbled with a number of formats to try to figure out what would be the best. And what I found was a series of stories interwoven with challenging questions around 21 different topics is where the final book ultimately came to be. And part of the reason there's a second is because as I was writing the first, my editor kept saying, "No, this one's really good. We're going to save it for the next book." And we ended up with a handful of chapters that at the end of the first one, he said, "Okay, so now we got to start on the second one. Let's get going. Let's just keep going with this." And here we are.
I got to think the first time he said that, you're like, second book, what? I'm not even right. Or
I'm
did you?
tired, Grandpa.
Well, it was interesting because what happened, um, we initially sketched out about 5 different concepts for books. And so what I mean by that was, okay, so you have this concept, powerful conversations, right? The idea is that you take a topic, whether it's trust, authenticity, compassion, integrity, some kind of bigger topic that when we say those words, you immediately jump to some sort of understanding or thought or belief system comes out. Oh, I know what that means. And then what we do is I take you through 4 steps. We start very broad where you really can't get the questions wrong. It's like, so what does trust mean to you? And unless you say something completely off the wall, you're probably going to get pretty close. And then we go a little bit deeper individually. Then we start understanding it in it as it applies to our own lives. And then we start talking about how we help other people. So when you go through that step, he's like, that same framework is going to apply for each and every topic. And he's absolutely right. That's what ended up happening. So the same framework. But then the challenge was, as you map out multiple books, it was where and who are the audiences. So can you get specific? Can it be general? So if it's a general audience and it's a wide berth, let's say it's fine-tuned for project managers. So you can go in there and pull out a handful of topics that are very specific to help people in the project management role be more successful and apply it to their project teams. I even took it further to on the religious aspect. So I volunteered at our church, and we do this once a month in a men's group for a men's breakfast.
Nice.
And same format, some different topics. You can imagine a few other things, but the same concept continues to work. It helps build relationships and build community around those common topics.
Love it. And another shameless plug for those who are just hearing about this book, don't have it, haven't read it. One of my favorite things about it is the nonlinear, if you so choose, approach you can take with it, which is to say, if it's a novel or a lot of books, you got to start in chapter 1 and end with chapter whatever, 20 or 30. This one is you can hop around to your heart's content for whatever feels comfortable, whatever you feel like diving into. I think that's kind of cool for an engineer and a Virgo. I surprise people sometimes by being very nonlinear, and I like that about I did that. I think I read the first chapter and then I skipped to, I don't know which one, but 16 or something, way for it because I just felt like it. I think that's a cool aspect of the book.
Yeah, from the table of contents, you just scan through, and the topics that resonate with you, you can just go and read those, and then keep going back and bouncing around as you move through. Absolutely.
This is somewhat off the wall, Kyle, not rehearsed as usual with this podcast. Has you authoring the book led to anyone, by your definition, famous or someone you always wanted to meet? Have you actually ended up meeting anyone like that because of now being an author?
Not yet.
I was hoping you were going to say yes. Number 23 for the Bulls. Michael bought it and reached out. No, not yet.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? No,
well, I mean,
not
the
yet.
gimme is you met me, right? You know me, you know Howie. I mean, who else do you need to know? That's it.
Very true.
You could have used that. That was the gimme.
I mean, I know the best by far executive director of any COA organization.
Exactly.
So,
of any
of all the COAs in North America.
There's 2 actually. There's one in Canada who steals our name, but
True.
We won't talk about them.
I'm semi-surprised by that, Kyle, because I don't know how many. Do you know the stats on how many of these books have been bought? Sure.
Yeah. So what has been the most interesting, I will say, is that there have been some surprises of who has reached out. So all that I get are numbers. I don't get who or where things are bought or purchased. So I've learned a lot about the publishing industry in the last couple of years, as you can imagine.
Sure.
And so as I walk that answer back, I would say that I have met a number of authors that I never thought I would cross paths with or have discussions with. And so that's been very educational and super blessed to be able to have some of those conversations with people, just to learn. And then those who provide workshops and continuing ed for adults too. I've met a lot of people who do that very, very well as I've started doing more and more of that because of the book.
Super awesome, which just scratches your natural and endless curiosity even more. So I understand from our pre-discussion that you actually have some data on. It's nice to think that me and Lucy can think, hey, maybe COAA is moving the needle a little bit on influencing how people treat each other and do projects. And you could say the same about Ripple in your book, but you actually have some numbers to maybe back this up a little.
Yeah, so the book is accumulation of this entire owner journey, even reaching back to my first couple years in the industry, where I started as a trade contractor in Chicago, and so there you go. You knew I was going to bring up Chicago, so brought that up, slipped that in there, and so when you look at all of that time and all of those experiences, a lot of influential memories and experiences and such along the way, and some people asked, how'd you get interested in this people stuff or development stuff? And I'll remember very succinctly, it wasn't someone giving me a hard time about an evaluation sheet. What that was somebody gave me a book that said, don't forget that there's people who work here too. That's what they wrote on the Post-it note. And I found it on my desk one day. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. Why wouldn't I forget? We have resources, we have bodies. And the book was very much about empathy and compassion and personal development, individual skills, seeing people as individuals. And it resonated to the point where we did a small workshop with somebody who facilitated that work. And I saw 35 people in my department really geek out and get super absorbed in this workshop. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? Like, we're not talking about budgets. We're not talking about projects. We're not talking about how to work with users and contractors and architects. We're talking about who these people are and what they're good at. And they got so excited. And so just rode that wave, tried to learn everything I possibly could, tried to find every different possible way to incorporate it into our projects. And we tried a lot failed. A lot was minor successes, but then eventually we found a groove. And through that groove, I went back and I looked and I thought, okay, so I've been here in Northern Colorado for almost 10 years. And in our group, we've done thousands of projects. And they're not always the projects that get profiled in breakout sessions at conferences. We do a lot of flooring replacements and air handler replacements and roof replacements and, stuff that's not going to make it on the cover of any magazine or website, but it's the stuff that keeps the buildings moving and keeps the air flowing and keeps the lights on. So we do a lot of those. So we're in the thousands range. And what struck me was we only allow 3 change orders, period. Act of God, AHJ changes code or regulatory influence, or an owner scope add. That's it. That's what we do. We don't do IPD. It's all CMGC and fixed fee. We are dabbling with the IFOA type of agreement, but it's always been this way and it seems to work. We have only had to go back to ask for more money internally 2 times in all the time that I've been here. And some would say, well, that's pretty easy when you just pad your budget, right? And my response to that is our average gives back is less than 1.4% of the total project budget.
You're not padding.
No.
Yeah. No.
And some of my folks wish we would.
And that time period obviously includes a pandemic, a fairly significant presidential election or 3. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff's been happening in the world during this time period that matters. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I give it up. I mean, my team is fantastic. I have some of the best people in the industry working on my team, and the vendors that we work with too are partners. But I do think, and I fully believe 100%, part of the reason that they're really, really good people and they're superstars is because they buy in and they believe in this stuff too. They believe in each other. They believe in actually putting time, effort, and energy into teaming. They believe in a COAA. They believe in a good owner. They believe that when we're all profitable, the product's going to work, the project's going to work, the outcomes are going to be successful. I mean, it's like, it's almost as though we take it for granted from time to time. And when we hear stories, take the tariffs as of late. There are some that have jumped immediately to, well, if we already have the project in motion, then you as a vendor, a contractor, architect, you're just going to have to deal with it. That's your risk to deal with. And it makes me super sad to hear owners take that approach because, well, first of all, it's a risk. We can argue force majeure and all that stuff all day long, but the reality is you entered into a capital project and halfway through the world supply chain went to hell because of whatever impacts there are. Well, we have to figure this out together. That's the reality. And when you do that, you're gonna get good outcomes. You're gonna have better projects. You're gonna have better long-term relationships. Your overall program is going to be a heck of a lot better than that one individual project that may or may not need to be adjusted. But when you take that approach of we all have to get through this together, it changes everything.
Not to mention, changes everything. I'm sure you're saying on that project. How about changing everything with respect to future work with that team? How quickly will those so-called vendors, like you, I'm not a big fan of that term, how quickly will those partners want to come back and work for that owner? Because maybe they only broke even, maybe they even lost some money. But the fact that the owner had that kind of attitude, I'm guessing that those partners would say, I'll work for them every day and twice on Sunday because of how they treated us.
Absolutely. I was standing in the basement of one of our hospitals not that long ago, and we just got started excavating, doing some demo work and stuff like that. And I had the PM, the PE, the super, and the project executive from the contractor. They were all there, and we were just catching up, taking a look at it. And the executive director said, it's been a while since I've physically been up here. I know our team really likes working with your team. And that right there, it said it all. And in that particular project, there was a cool bet that took place between one of the material. We had to rent something for a year, and the guy we rented it from, he represents a national company. He said, "Well, I'm going to write it down for 18 months." And our project team said, "Why would you do that?" He goes, "Because I've done this for decades, and none of the projects we've ever rented these things to have ever given it back when they said they're going to give it back." Well, I can see for those of you listening, Howie is smirking right now because he knows where this is going. We gave it back in 12 months.
I was going to guess 11, but okay, 12.
No, we nailed it. We nailed it. We gave it back when we said we were going to give it back. It was no easy feat by any means, but they did it, and it turned out great. So yeah, putting this time and energy into investing in the people, everything the COAA represents, and that's what I wanted to do with the book, is give people the tools to be able to slowly take that step or multiple steps in trying to figure out ways to incorporate that stuff into not just their projects, but in their lives.
Fantastic, man. That's almost a mic drop moment there, but I have at least one other one to follow up with you on, Kyle, and that is like me, and I just kind of stumbled onto this. I didn't know until I got involved actually with COA's Owner Training Institute a long time ago. Well, a little bit with some internal stuff, both in my UF and Navy days. I'd stumbled upon the fact that I had this passion, maybe even for sharing, not for saying I'm smarter than you, let me tell you how to do it, but to say, hey, I've been there, I've broken my stride, my bones, my everything. I got scar tissue. Let me share, that you have that too. And I'm wondering where that comes from, because that's part of what makes you you, with Ripple, with the book, with COA, with your day job, with your family, your relationship. Where does that come from? That passion for wanting to share with others?
I guess the right answer would be it's my wonderful upbringing by my parents. They instilled these virtues and values in me, but I don't know if that's the case. I was raised in Chicago, big family, lots of cousins, lots of uncles, and I talk about some of that stuff in my books because there was some influences there for sure. And some of the things that looking back were proven to be wrong. Some of the stuff that has proven to be very true and is held all along. I think the root. I don't know if it's necessarily the root. I've always been curious as to how people get to where they are and why they do what they do. Your question's intriguing because I don't know. There's only one other person that asked me that, and it was probably 15 years ago. How did you get this way? And I remember shrugging, like, I don't know.
I didn't mean it like you're Frankenstein. I meant it in a good
Right?
way.
No, it's I remember back in college, grad school, our some of our professors. So I was in the construction management school at Purdue, and a couple of the professors, they hosted a foreman training in the summer times. They'd bring in these foremen for a week or two from mechanical, electrical, all the trades from around the Midwest, and they would basically live at Purdue for a week, and they would get this crash course in a lot of different things related to leadership, supervision, management, superintendent, project management, and I remember asking one of the professors, and because it was curious to me, he said, I asked him, I said, how do you get these different companies, and some of them compete with each other? How do you get them to come together like this and actually share what they do? Aren't they giving up competitive advantage? And I remember he did say, he goes, you would think that, but all I have found is once you find people who do what they do and they do it well, they love to talk about it. They're proud, they're excited, they see the benefit, they want others to share in those same emotions and feelings if they do things well too, because they know how good it is and how much it can change work, change the day to day, and so forth and so on. So he's like, yeah, you would think people would clam up, but it's actually, I found the opposite to be true, especially when you bring good people together. And I think the fact that I'm bringing that up now as the answer, I think it was very influential on me to go, wow, people who do good things, they do tend to share and share a lot because they know how it impacts people's lives.
A great answer, and it's very different from bragging. It doesn't mean like, oh, I did this great thing. It's more about what you. I don't have to repeat it. What you just said, Colin. Yeah, if somebody asked me the same question I just asked you, I would stumble around a bit because I kind of stumbled upon it myself. I didn't know that. I don't. Same thing. And my parents didn't instill in the value of sharing knowledge with like. I just kind of got there on my own, and like, oh, look at this. I kind of like doing this. Who knew? So that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, my parents are good people.
Yeah. Your parents
I
will
like
listen to this
them.
going, what
They're
do we
all
do?
right.
What?
They're still both out there, and they're still super influential on me and my kids' lives, which is awesome. So it's been very interesting as I've gone through this, and as any mom would be super proud when the book came out and
Oh,
gave it to
yeah.
all her friends and had no idea what the heck I was writing about, and kind of explained it, kind of shared it, but yeah, it's actually it's led to some really good conversations with both of my parents. That's been a nice side benefit that I did not see coming.
Not just good, but I assume powerful, perhaps.
Yes.
Conversation. Sorry, I saw my shot and I took it. I'm sorry. Dad
That's
joke or
perfect.
something.
No, it's perfect. You nailed it.
All right. Last one, Kyle, because we maybe should make this like a 5-parter, Lucy, and we'll just have, okay, part 3.
Right? Yeah.
It's
I have no
just
problem with that.
I could go on for
It just
okay,
means
so
5 different outfits though. So
that's okay. Yeah, we ain't mad. Um
Howie's got at least 2 hoodies, so I think we'll
I
be
ha-
good
I,
there.
at
I have
least.
several. I have several hoodies. None with the sleeves cut off like Belichick. So I'll keep it
Oh
real.
my.
Um, Kyle, this is another one. Again, the whole thing unscripted, but it sort of occurred to me, but it feels like it's legit and something you can. If you can't, if you're like, oh, I don't know, I'll get back to you. That's fine too. So what we've been talking about for most of this half an hour is stuff you should be quite proud of, and we at COA are proud of, and we're just 2 data points. There's lots of others, but proud of helping the industry over the last 15, 20, 30, whatever years get better in areas where the industry needed to get better. I don't mean technology and BIM, project delivery methods, lean. I mean valuing people, soft skills, team building, leadership, all the stuff we've been talking about. Yay. And valuing mental health, which used to be frowned upon. All these things are better than they were. What do you see over the horizon as the next set of things our industry needs to get real and tackle and improve upon?
I think our industry still has a long way to go. I don't disagree with you. We've come a long way. Almost everything you rattled off was taboo to talk about even 15 years ago, 10 years ago. It wasn't a part of our lives. Um, Now, when you talk about culture and work-life balance and wellness and all those aspects, it still gets a lot of lip service. It still gets a lot of hey, we have a good culture, but do you really have a good culture? Um, I've watched two schools. I live in between. Literally, I look out my front window and I see a middle school. I look out the back window across the field and I see a high school. And I've watched expansions go on for the last year and a half. Um, we still have opportunities to not have people working out in sub-zero weather. We still have opportunities for prefab. We have opportunities for safety. We have opportunities for so many different things. So I think we've just started this journey, and yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes.
So you're just saying basically less lip service, more doing, really. Let's not just talk the talk, let's walk the walk, right? I mean,
I think it's organizationally we got a long way to go. The way that we still structure our contracts has tremendous opportunity. We have obviously worked and continues to work in modular and prefab. There's still a lot more opportunity there as technology continues to improve, logistics improve. Um, but I could say the easy answer. Well, AI is going to impact us. I'm sure it will. Technology has impacted us. I mean, there's so many different things that we use now that we didn't use even 10 years ago when it comes to technology. So AI is just going to be another tool in the toolkit. But on the horizon, what I see the most truly is there's going to be a separation, I think, of project companies, project teams that embrace more of the we're all going to win, as opposed to there's winners and losers on the project. And a lot of that kind of gets lost at the moment just in the noise, but I think there's going to be more and more of a separation of those two. You'll see some partners move into one camp, you'll see others embrace and move in the other camp. It'll take a long time, but there will be a point where simply just having volume for volume's sake to add another project or another something to the list is going to be challenged with, well, is this a client I want to work with? Are they bringing on sub-consultants and other partners that we want to work with? Is this really in the best interest of our people? And do we want to do there's 90 days left on the project, all hands on deck, everybody missed the little league games and missed family dinners because we got to get this thing done. I think some of those norms are going to be challenged even more and more as time goes on, to the point where people are going to say, you know what? If it doesn't open, it doesn't open. I'm not missing my kid's graduation. And that's going to be okay. And that's actually going to be embraced.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I love that vision, and I hope you're right, Kyle. What you said reminds me of something. I have weird thoughts, day job thoughts about stuff like this, and I had this fantasy, I guess you would say, of all the good owners being cordoned off. And by good, for folks, what I mean, Kyle knows he does, but like fair, reliable, timely, transparent, communicative, the kind of owner builders and designers want to work with. That's what we mean by good owner. And there's lots of other adjectives, but that's generally the thing. I love the idea of having those owners, many of whom belong to COAA, involved with Ripple, whatever, and only having the good architects, engineers, and builders be in the same sort of pen. In other words, can we find a way to, I'm not into segregation, but can we segregate the bad owners and put them with the bad contractors, and then they can just all go over there and do their thing,
Fight it
and all the
out.
good ones can, you see what I mean? It would save a lot of time. You guys suck. You all belong over there, and the people who don't suck, this is your dance. And can we do that? I don't know. Lucy, it's a first.
No comments.
He's speechless for the first time ever.
Oh, he's got thoughts. I don't
I
know if
don't,
he wants to he wants to
you
say it
know,
to people.
it's one of those things, man. Are people born fundamentally good, fundamentally bad, or are they born neutral and we teach and push people to one or the other? I gotta say, I'm still the eternal. No one would ever accuse me as being the eternal optimist, but I think when it comes to people, I think people are actually all trying to do the right thing, and I think they're trying to do the best. For what reasons and all that stuff, yeah, you kind of get twisted with financial gain and power and that kind of stuff. But what I've seen most of the people in this industry, and I've been able to work from Florida to Washington State, so I've been all over the country, and it's not regional. I think it's just our industry. I think, and what I've seen is most people are trying to do good. And so, with that said, even the owners, even the crazy developer that I learned under, we were trying to make people money. We were trying to build houses. We were trying to build commercial developments. We were trying to create. We were trying to make spaces. That was our whole goal. We were trying to do good things. Just because it tanked doesn't mean that we were a company of evil people. That wasn't the case. So even the bad owners, the ones that treat their vendors in ways that are not necessarily aligned with the COAA or putting people first or investing in their people, they're seeing it very much as a transaction. There's usually a lot of reasons behind that. And they didn't get there because they woke up one day and said, let's figure out how to make this as hard and complicated as possible and really frustrate everybody. It was certainly both sides. We got to that point. But someone in there is trying to jump up and down and go, does it have to be this complicated? Does it have to be this stupid? Does it have to be this combative? There's other people doing other things. Can we just try one thing to make it a little bit less? Because if we make today a little bit less combative, then maybe tomorrow could be a little bit less combative. And if you get enough of those days strung together, well, what do you know? You might not have anybody left in that bad owner camp. Maybe it'll be in the mediocre camp, but that's better than the bad owner camp. And that's
Yeah.
on the way to the good owner camp.
Yeah. That's such a more mature answer than what I threw out there, honestly. I aspire to be you. No, really, Kyle, you're right. Because most of the time, the so-called bad owner is maybe more properly defined as constrained or things like that. Meaning, yeah, like you said, they don't want to be, but they're given this circumstance, this law, this rule, this thing, it's a hamstrung thing. Any parting thoughts? Again, there's no graceful way to end a conversation with you because I could go so many different ways, but maybe we will do a part two. But any closing thoughts, Kyle?
The only one that comes to mind, I know people ask from time to time, how do I get started? By all means, you can stop by Ripple and Ton event if there's one in your area. You can obviously pick up the book and check that out. You can sign up for the Ripple and Ton newsletter. Or if you want to give me a call or email me, just contact me directly. I really have a passion for this stuff. And if you're interested and want to have that conversation, just give me a call and reach out to me via email. We'll set something up, and I'd love to just chat. If it's about how do you write a book, or how do you do, what kind of workshops do you do, or how do I get started with a conversation, just reach out. Or if you want to know more, I've met many COA members who have reached out and said, this is where I am in my own program, in our capital delivery program, and I don't even know where to start. A friend of mine just went and took over a group in Washington, D.C., and she reached out and she said, this place is a mess. Where do I start? And we had a fantastic conversation to help move that and point her in one direction to take at least one or two steps. So always happy to chat. Always happy to have that conversation.
Fabulous. Lucy, any final parting thoughts?
No, I believe it or not, I'm without words. I appreciate you, Kyle. I especially appreciate that that you could recognize that our immature thoughts on the bad owners being, put in purgatory don't necessarily need to be there, and that everyone has an opportunity to do better if they're given that opportunity to do better. So, yeah, fantastic conversation. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Always.